welcome to Quirky Books with Katie. Today I'm going to be doing a different-ish type of video, I guess you can say, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys like it, but today the video that I'm going to be doing is called The Best of Sarah Dessen, and in this video I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite Sarah Dessen books, but it's not going to be like reviews. It's going to be more of what I kind of took away from each of these books. And today I'm going to be talking about 3 of her books: Just Listen, This Lullaby, and The Truth About Forever. And these are probably my 3 favorite books by her, I'd have to say. And I'm thinking about doing like a second part to this video, so if you want to see that, then comment down below. If you want to see me talk about any of her other books, or if you want to see full out reviews of some of these, then comment down below. Okay, so the first book I'm going to be talking about is Just Listen by, of course, Sarah Dessen. All of the books in this video are by Sarah Dessen. Now, this book is about a girl named Annabelle. And Annabelle has kind of been going through a lot of hard times in the past year. Her sister got an eating disorder, and Annabelle went through a really hard time, and she's kind of feels like her life is falling apart and she doesn't have anything good about her life. But then she meets Owen and everything changes. I took a few things away from this novel. One of my favorite things about it was the discussions about music. And it kind of makes me realize, like, after this book I kind of listened to my music more closely, and it helps me realize that the reason that people love music so much is because it has substance. It'll get us through anything. Even when you're having problems with your life, music is always going to be there. It's never going to go away, just like books. And after this book, I kind of listened to my music more closely, and I kind of rediscovered why I loved it, because music has real substance and heart, and you have to listen to the lyrics and the actual instruments and the music itself. Another thing that I learned was the kind of weirdness of silence. Now, I am kind of more of, I'm not saying I'm like a quiet person, but I need like my own space. Sometimes I need to just be alone, and it kind of helps me realize that sometimes that's bad. You need to have some noise in your life. Having everything quiet is just too bad, because there's this one part where Annabelle and Owen are sitting in her car, and Owen's sitting there and he's just like, wow, you have nothing on, it's so quiet, how can you deal with it? And quiet, at least for me, when it's quiet, I kind of go through the worst things in my head and everything's just rushing and spinning. And maybe if we kind of didn't have that quiet, maybe that wouldn't happen as much. I don't know. This video is kind of, it's more serious, and it's definitely more like jumping around, so I apologize for that. The last thing that I took away from this novel was the point of honesty. The guy character Owen had to go to an anger management class, and throughout the book he's kind of talking about the techniques that he learned in his class, and one of them is straight out honesty. You can't lie. Which, for me, I'm generally an honest person. One of my biggest like pet peeves in general is like fake people. People who either don't tell the truth or kind of say one thing but mean another, and kind of have like half-hearted attempts. And this book kind of helped me realize that even though honesty hurts, if you get it out there, then it's okay. You have to tell people how you really feel. Otherwise, they're not going to know, and they have to kind of interpret it for themselves. So I want to hear what you guys thought about Just Listen. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Love it. This is actually the first Sarah Dessen book that I read, and I very enjoyed it. And that kind of how, I think when I read this one, I went and tried to read all of her books, and I have, over the course of, I'd say, a year and a half, read all of her books. The next book I'm going to be talking about is this Lullaby. Sorry you can't see the covers because of my back. Now this Lullaby is probably my favorite book by Sarah Dessen. I'd have to say The Truth About Forever is close second, but this one is my favorite, and I think the reason for that is because I really relate to the main character. I can see where Remy is coming from. This book is about a girl named Remy, and throughout her whole life she's kind of seen love as a sham or weakness, and she doesn't want to get hurt. So to protect herself, there gets to be a certain point in each of her relationships where she kind of calls it off before anything gets too serious or before she gets hurt. But then she meets Dexter, who is unlike any guy she's ever met before, and he is just different, and he's messy, and he's annoying, and he's weird, but Remy still likes him. So this book kind of follows Remy's journey with Dexter and her beliefs about love. Like I said, this one relates to me a lot. The first thing I took away from this is the beliefs about love. And this is kind of hard for me because I am the cynic out of my friends with relationships. Like always, when my friends have boyfriends, I feel bad about it a lot because I get to be very, well, I say a lot of mean things and I kind of just do my own thing. And even when my friends kind of ask like, oh, why don't you have a boyfriend? I'm just like, no, I don't want to get there. And I kind of felt like with this book, that's how Remy was too. She kind of just didn't want anything too serious, and she kind of just does her own thing. And she's also very cynical about love. Even when her mother gets married, she and her brother place wagers on how long the marriage is going to last. Now, I don't do anything that bad, but when people are dating, I kind of see, like, me and my one friend kind of guess how long their relationships are going to last. As I said before, I'm not the nicest person in the world. But another thing that I took away from this book is loneliness. Because of Remy's high standards and her beliefs about love, she ends up alone, which is almost as bad as getting your heart broken. And I know what loneliness is too, so I feel you, Remy. And the last thing I took away from this book is standards. Remy has very high standards for all of her relationships, and Dexter is kind of the odd man out. He does not fit any of her standards. Like I said before, he's messy, he's weird, annoying, he's in a band, and I have very high standards as well. That's another reason when people ask, oh, why don't you have a boyfriend? I'm like, guys, I have very, very high standards. If you find someone that can meet those standards, then maybe, but no. I feel like it's not one of Sarah Dessen's most famous books, but it's still really good. And the last book I'm going to be talking about today is The Truth About Forever. And as you can see, I really like this book because there's like 50 billion stickies out. I sticky note all of either my favorite parts or my favorite quotes. This book is about a girl named Macy, and her father passed away a year before the book starts, or I think it's a year before the book starts. And when that happened, she kind of felt like her world fell apart, so she's been doing everything possible to make her life perfect so she can feel in control, because she has all these standards to live up to. She has her boyfriend is like really smart and expects the best of her, and so does her mom, but Macy gets this job at a catering business called Wish, and everything changes. She learns that she doesn't have to be perfect all the time, and being perfect isn't making her happy, and there really is no such thing as perfection. So the first thing I've took away from this book is the idea of perfection. No matter what you think, perfection just does not exist. No matter how hard you try, it just doesn't happen. And I think the more you kind of strive for it, the farther away you actually get, because you just focus on that one idea of perfection and you kind of just ignore everything else that's going on in your life, and that's really bad. The second thing I took away from this is the idea of being yourself and living up to other people's expectations. The main character, Macy, doesn't really know who she is, because she does what other people tell her to do. She's smart because her boyfriend wants her to be smart. She's a goody-goody because that's what her mom wants. And I think this book kind of shows that you have to be yourself. no matter what. And even if you don't know who yourself is, you just can't take crap from other people. If people say like, oh, this is who you are, this is who you are, they don't know you. Only you know who you really are, and you can't take crap from other people. And even with living up to other people's expectations, you're never going to please everybody, so you might as well just please yourself. And the last thing that I learned from this book was to live in the moment. You never know what's going to happen or when something bad's going to happen. So you have to do what you want to do, and you can't regret it. You have to live in the moment and do what you want to do with your life. Because at the end of your life, you want to look back and say, oh, wow, did I do everything that was going to make me happy? So that's it for the books that I'm going to talk about today. Sorry that went on and it's like rambly and choppy, but if you like it and want to see me talk about more of these, then comment down below. I was thinking about doing a second part to the video, but I'm not really sure. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you again soon.